Did I ever tell you about how the first church died? When Eve bore her first son, Cain, she declared to God, "I have borne a man." She did not say a child, but a man, like her husband was a man. Her declaration acted like a prophecy over that child, that he would exist by himself, separated from proper relation to his family. Like Adam, he would be without parents. Then she bore Abel, and the boys grew, and then they worked. Abel became a herdsman. He tended the flock and herd, and was with them wherever they would roam. He slept under the stars and under tarps, like Abraham would generations later. He resembled those who would be favored by the Lord: Abraham, Joseph, Moses, and the young David. And he also resembled God himself, the great shepherd. Cain became a man of the soil, and he planted crops. He settled in one spot of fertile land and did not move about like his brother. He tilled the ground to produce food, and in doing so, he served his father's sentence, his punishment for eating the fruit in Eden. Cain planned around the seasons, a doctrine for planting. He tilled, he sowed, and he reaped a harvest that was devoid of care or charity. Wheat cannot roam. It does not need for guidance. What use is the farmer when it is the sun and the rain that tends the produce? And the field grew, and on the final day of that time, he brought some of the fruit of the ground to the Lord. And Abel came down from a mountainside and offered the Lord the best of his work, the firstborn of the flock, and cuts of fat marbled meat. God was pleased to see what Abel had brought. He'd cared for his flock and had not withheld the best of its yield. Abel acted in an attitude of giving and charity, and the Lord respected the boy. Cain brought a proportion of his crop, not the best of it, nor any kind of produce that demonstrated his care. It was God's rain and God's sun, and Cain had put no hand of help into its creation. The brothers had brought to God what was already his own, but yet Abel's staff had tended the livestock and made its yield generous and good. Cain had made himself comfortable and had only awaited the end of the season. God had no respect for Cain's offering. Cain's anger was set ablaze, and his face fell. His physical and outward appearance changed as his internal emptiness and lack was filled by an attitude of bitterness. The Lord could only ask him why. Why had he turned his character towards sin? Out in the field, the man and his brother spoke, and spiders built webs in the short stalks of corn, and two field mice huddled together on the ground and awaited the return of their lost mother. Cain's face burned and sparks spat upon the earth as he rose and killed his brother. And God said to Cain, "Where is Abel, your brother?" And Cain replied, "I do not know. Am I my brother's keeper?" But of course, he never had any regard for anyone or anything. And I have observed that when somebody dies and becomes a spirit, he is not immediately aware of the change that has occurred. They still believe themselves to be in their body and within the world. In fear, Abel cried out, and his blood sent the message through the earth, and the Lord felt it and heard it. And he said to Cain, "What have you done? The voice of your brother's blood is crying out to me from the ground." Cain had thought the vibration was his own guilt, and he could not hide it from the Lord. The Lord said, "And now you are cursed from the ground, which has opened its mouth to receive your brother's blood from your hand. When you till the ground, it will not yield its strength." No longer could Cain merely plant the ground and wait for the crop to grow. he'd need to wrestle them from the hard-fisted earth. Faith in the earth to produce was not enough. His work would be required. The land would fight him and would be resistant to his settling. And the Lord said, "A wanderer and a fugitive you will be in the land." And Cain felt his iniquity like a lead weight within him, and he pleaded with God to spare him from those that might sense his guilt and kill him. That's why the Lord gave Cain a mark on his head to distinguish him as one protected by God. The Lord showed charity to Cain by placing that mark upon him. Because of the mark, he was feared by other men when he traveled into exile. But Cain did not become a wanderer for long. He married, settled, built a city. The man became a powerful ruler, a prospector, and a tradesman, and he did not work the soil. The people of the land of Nod said he received his mark when he killed his God. When he traveled east of Eden, the man had no father, no God, and his descendants became killers of men. There are a great many Abels buried under this desert, son. A great many.